This is just going to be a completely off-the-cuff kind of video because I thought I want to... I mean, it's mainly for myself, right? I want to talk through my room, what I like about the things that are in it, and try to remind myself that when I move out of here soon, I'm going to take all those with me and leave behind only the negative stuff that came with this room, which there was a lot. But thankfully there's a lot of little things that I can bring with me and keep me at home no matter where I go. So I'm going to go through my room, just walking through it, and we're going to start with this. This is a nook made out of jade that my grandparents gave to me about 2 years ago, I want to say. I lived in their house until I was 12 with my brother and my mum until we moved here. And all throughout my entire life, every time I walk past this, they have a bunch of stuff in that house. It's full of trinkets and sort of oddities, and they have these like window sills filled with like different coloured glassware and stuff like that. But this just sort of sat alone on this sort of board that you'd hang keys from, but it was shaped like a cat. And I always laughed at that when I saw that as a kid. This was on it. I'd always look at it and think nice thoughts about it because I thought it was always really nice to hold in the hand and as a symbol of balance and sort of restoration. It's always a pleasant thing to have sort of nearby. So why do they give it to me though? Well, I think they sort of were particularly proud of me at a specific moment. I think it was a hard time for me in uni, and I was talking about the nook again, and they were like, it's clear that you think about it quite a lot, and you get a lot out of it, and to us it's just something that we have on the key holder, so you can have it. And whenever I see this, it sort of reminds me of how much I want to make my grandparents proud. And every time I go around there, and I say sort of bye-bye, I can normally hear my grandpa saying like, "Oh, he's a lovely boy, isn't he?" when I'm walking off, and that always, it never grows old. The feeling of warmth that gives me. And it's nice that I can start seeing them again, because COVID lifting up. Here we have an iPod, and we have a speaker behind it, and both of these are the same age. I got these, I want to get the specific year. I would say 2010 or maybe 2009. I'm not actually sure, but it's been a long time that I've had these. This is a third generation iPod, so that might date it nicely. This is just a fantastic sort of Sony speaker that I've used for anything whenever I need just a speaker. I used to only use it for playing my iPod overnight when I'm going to sleep, and it would play throughout the night, and I'd have dreams and Rolling Stones or Bob Dylan or Van Morrison. What I would do back in the day was I would load my iPod up, which is a 32 gig model, just fill it with an artist's discography. That would be Pink Floyd, Rolling Stones, stuff like that. Play it throughout the night and get a real connection to one artist or band at a time. And this has always been my sort of bedside speaker, but now I've, for the last few years since I've been in university, just use it for a general purpose speaker, and it's just lovely. Moving on to the iPod itself, the case here, that's a lie, it's 32 gigs, this happens to be the case. And let's see if I can take it off with one hand. Yep, there we go. So you might look at this and think, wow, that's in semi-okay condition if it weren't for this dent. The screen's not cracked. There's some scratches up there, but it's, not cracked at all. This wasn't even done by me. It was, excuse me, it was done by this kid Ted in class. He bumped it against a desk, and that's the only proper damage that happened to it, is that dent. Apart from that though, it's a absolutely lovely piece of kit, and it still works. Works as well as it did back in the day, and it still works with my old wallpaper and my custom font and my SBS launcher, I think that's what it's called, with the Pokemon skin, with all the custom things. Oops. And yeah, it's obviously jailbroken, right? And these are the artists that I would have loaded onto it in second year of uni, which would be 2017. And sometime after that I started just listening to stuff on my phone speaker, because the aux cable, consistently using that was a bit irritating, and it was nicer to have the music sort of closer to me through my phone speaker at the sacrifice of sound quality. But this is the stuff that I had. On my iPod you'll see basically all of it is James Ferraro, and just some other stuff. So there's 2 red house painters there, one with a full stop. There's a terrible example of tagging, and it's just, that's what I had. I remember I used to get so excited to put a new discography on on my iPod, and listen to it overnight and really gain a connection for things. I haven't done that in ages, because why haven't I done that? I don't know. I should think about that. But John Williams, what the hell? The reason I would have this, right, I know, is because in 2016 I was really into listening to all the Canon stuff. I was hell-bent on listening to all of it, to the point where I just wouldn't listen to stuff if it wasn't canonized. And so I guess this was on here because it was John Williams and people like him. Yeah, not a whole lot to say really, but the home screen got all Pokemon on it, and custom sort of animations for sliding. I used to be so proud of this back in the day. Sort of having a jailbroken iPod, it was the coolest thing ever. I remember my friend had to jailbreak it for me because I sort of had no idea how to do it, and he was a guy who was really into modding, and he had Xbox and PS3 mods and stuff like that, and he installed Cydia on my iPod, and that was a really cool day. I spent so much just looking through random stuff that you could download. Custom keyboard, and what was the latest thing I looked for here? Basic channel, apparently. Why that would be, I have no idea, because I always have that on my phone. But yeah, you'll see YouTube.com works, and well, yeah, that's what I was listening to. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. What about my winterboard skins? What have I got here? Pokemon, that's it. Must have sort of done a clean out and decided Pokemon was going to stay. And it has done for over 10 years. Never want to change it. But yeah, that's my iPod, and I love it. As much as I love this speaker. They've seen me through many fantastic dreams and many houses and times, and really thankful for these. Guess I could talk about my Blue Yeti mic. This I've had for, well, I've had it since 2012. And it's a Blue Yeti mic, so it still works perfectly. And you know, what do I even need to say about it? It's just I've recorded all my early music with this. The stuff that is like the sort of post-rock things, all would have come through here. And yeah, great general purpose microphone. Not really much else to say, but it's served me very well, and it continues to serve fantastically. So, thank you, Blue, for making a really good microphone for a great price. Let's move away from the desk now. Oh no, I only got this like a month ago. This sort of, you'll see here, we have these two sort of. Oh, I want to talk about like webcam as well, obviously. These monitors, I've had these for quite a while. This one is 144 hertz for gaming and stuff. That's crazy how you can. What the hell? You can like see the pink through my hands. That's awesome. That's really cool. Anyway, this one I would have had since 2014 because I got that and the computer over there sort of together. And fun fact, I didn't activate 144 hertz refresh rate for 3 years. I had it on 60 hertz for 3 years. Yeah, that was a bit of a dummy move. But this one is just a classic 60 hertz BenQ monitor. It was my first ever second monitor. And it was so nice getting that. I got it in Easter, I think, which would have been the same Easter that I discovered Petscop in 2018. I got to be careful here. I can't get too nostalgic about things because emotions are pretty going crazy recently, and anything can tip me over at this point, which is why I'm focusing on all the nice things, But I got this recently, almost inspired entirely by Duraga 1. I saw he had all these 4x3 old monitors, and this one is a 1280 by 1024 monitor, I think. 4x3 obviously, and it's a really cute monitor that just sits over here for usually Stuart Lee playing on this screen whilst I do my whatever I do on these screens. But it's just 17 quid off eBay, and it looks fantastic, and it's a lovely, cute, nostalgic Dell monitor. You'll have seen these in the schools, you'll have seen them in the libraries, and yeah, it's just a lovely little VGA screen to have there, and I'm really glad that I bought that. It was a really good, one of the best 17 quid I've ever spent. And this webcam, this is what I use to film all my videos that are like entries into a diary. 640 by 480, and it has this awful microphone on the side that sometimes I forget to turn off to use this mic instead. But it does have a nice sort of comfy quality to it because it's all just mids. It says Carl Zeiss. It's a Carl Zeiss lens, and this would have been from like 2008. I want to say it was like state of the art in 2008. I remember my grandpa got it because he wanted to start Skyping people or something like that, and he got this, and it still works to this day, and I use it for all my video diary entry thingies, and it's wonderful, It's a lovely little webcam. Here are some conkers. Why though, right? So, used to have terrible arachnophobia. I don't really have that anymore. But I was told that conkers keep spiders away for some reason. So they've been sat by my window because I don't want them really coming inside. They probably enjoy the outside much more than my room. But I mean, I barely get any spiders in this room, so maybe they are working. They've been here for years and years and years, probably 7 or 8 years, and yeah, those conkers, they're coming with me. Let's see, we have this bass amp, right? This is there's a very common thread here throughout all of these, which is they've served me for many years and they continue to, because I don't see any reason to change them. This is just a very, very typical bass amp. I got it for 20 quid from some shop in Chichester, which was right next to where my dad lived at the time. It was like a place where I also got that bass guitar that I'll talk about later. 20 quid amp, it does the job. Has a very, very rough, sort of scruffy sound, and it spills out a lot of hiss. I've never seen anything else branded with custom before, and it's probably a terrible amp, but I love it, and I use it for all my bass recordings, which I don't really do anymore, but I used to only do rock music, you have to remember. Or not remember, but that's what I used to do. I used to make it post-rock, and it would have come through this. So, I mean, I still play bass occasionally, and it comes through here. I was going to sell this and the bass to some friend in college for like 50 quid for both of them. I'm so glad I didn't. I can't remember what I needed the money for. 50 quid. Why would I need 50 quid? I don't know. I'm very glad I didn't do that. I probably might have been to get like a new phone or something. That old phone, I don't have that anymore. Because I gave it away to someone. Let's see. This, just for context, this is my current computer. It's in a Cooler Master case. And it does have a NVIDIA 780 GTX that I would have gotten a solid, like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 years ago, something like that. Yeah, 2014, sounds about right. And it was like the top of the top then. And I don't need anything better. So that sits in here. It had some new gear because it's an ATX case, so I had to get a new motherboard and new RAM and all that. And it works great, what can I say? It's quiet, it's sleek, it does the job. I don't need anything that's like insanely good. Yeah, it's a great piece of kit. This piano, I guess I can talk about. Haven't had it for long. It's a keyboard that has a floppy disk drive, and inside the floppy disk we have shallow water escape, vibes, truck. Yeah, that's what's on here. I haven't been able to use it though because it has a disk reading error, but it sits happily inside there, nice and cozy. And so we have just this keyboard, which I got about a year ago actually at this point, because it was my cousin's and they never used it anymore, and it is a pretty swanky keyboard, honestly. It has all sorts of capabilities and fuck ton of presets. Not a whole lot I can say about it really. Haven't used it for a whole lot. I do play piano sometimes, mainly to play Pokemon soundtrack stuff. In fact, only to play Pokemon soundtrack stuff. That's all I know how to play at the moment. and the first 16 bars of Christmas Time is here. So, moving on, we have this cat, this pillow cat, which is one of the things that means the most to me, because this was my ex-girlfriend's, but it's mine now. I went to visit her for 3 weeks in summer of 2019, and on the airplane back, because I took a few things with me, this was one of the things that she gave to me. I cried for hours and hours just into this pillow on the flight back from Tennessee. But this, the fortunate thing about that was the 2 seats next to me were empty, and I had a window seat, so I could be somewhat discreet about it. Everyone obviously saw me and were like, "What's he up to?" But cried a lot into this pillow on the airplane back, because I wasn't sure when I was ever going to see her again in real life. And I was listening to like a Dust to Digital compilation at the time, and the track that was playing was like, I'm crying because I know I'm losing you, or something like that. That was not the right time to listen to that compilation. And so I took it home with me, and then a week later, bought another airplane ticket, and there's a whole other story there about getting a job at my local care home in the kitchen, which none of it I filmed, which is a bit dumb. It's really dumb, actually, that I didn't vlog any of that. I think I was just too excited. But I took this little fella with me back to America for the 5-week trip that time. And then when I went back home after 5 weeks, only to go straight into 4th year of uni, I didn't cry on the plane at all. There was a very strange optimism about it. Because at the time I knew the next time I would go there, I'd be finished, and it would be like the best thing ever, but that didn't happen. So I then, when I went back to uni the first night, we all got crazy drunk. Me and my housemates, we hosted a house party, and there were like a fuck ton of people there. I ran out in the street in a Pink Bear Kigurumi sort of. Jeez, I was singing like Blade or something, because I was listening to Blade on the plane back. I was shouting like, "Who goes there?" in a pink. It was that, and then I ended up throwing up all over this pillow, and you can only just about see the remnants here from that. And as a result of betraying this cat pillow like that by just, throwing up on it, each night I make sure it's held very tightly in my arms, and I try to make sure it knows it's appreciated. I know it's a plushie, but, This I've had since I was 4, is little Pikachu plush that serves almost the same purpose, keeps me company, and is it's a wallet. Well, not a wallet, but it's like a sort of, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this with one hand, but actually no, I can, because I can just do it like this. You can store stuff in its back, basically. It's one of those, you've seen them. Yeah, it's got pouches. You can put stuff in it. I think I might have got this at my grandparents'. I'm going to have to put the phone down. Put this back up. I got this as an award from a sort of lottery at my grandparents' bowling rink. Sorry, not bowling, bowls. And yeah, I've just kept it nice and safe ever since. One very specific memory I have, I was going through some hard times with the relationship, and I cuddled up to it and listened to the whole discography of Fuck the Facts whilst cuddling it to sort of get the pain down. And it helped. It helped an awful lot. So, thank you, Fuck the Facts, but also thank you, Pikachu, because it's really helped me through an awful lot. And always try to make sure that I appreciate it. So, here we have 4 bootlegged Bok tapes that I made in 2015 when I got this. I'm sorry you're not going to be able to see it, but there's a Kenwood, like a MIDI bookshelf, sort of mini hi-fi with these MIDI speakers, and that could record onto tapes. So I was like, hey, I'm going to make my own old tunes tapes and try and make it look like they wrote it. And yeah, I dubbed them really quietly, so that was a bit of a fail. But I love these. I've played them so many times. I used to play this, sorry, not just this one, but all of them on that Kenwood system whilst playing CSGO Deathmatch when Operation Bloodhound came out. So that dates that very nicely. And you'll notice this one is a little bit squished. I have no idea why that is. But yeah, the fact that I made these tapes made me want to make my own homemade tapes, which is why sort of this is a thing. And this is certainly something that I appreciate, because this is a tape that I made recently that I'm going to make more of these for some friends. I have a couple people that I need to send these out to. But this tape, it was the most fun to make, and I barely ever listen to my own stuff, if at all, but I do enjoy sometimes listening to some of the tracks on this. Specifically, let's see, what do we have here? This Untitled, this 2-minute one. Worms dubbed with Fate, that's a very nice one. Yeah, the Steely Dan one, that's cool. But like, yeah, it was the most fun to make, because it was meant to be like old tunes, just a bunch of tracks. The pressure's way off, you know. You can weave your own narrative with it, and it's definitely my favourite thing that I've ever done, is make this tape. This is the sort of, all my other stuff, like, I get a nicer feeling out of this, definitely. And that, probably just because it's sort of, you know, I sort of, in college I always wanted to make a tape like old tunes, and that is that. So that's cool. This is a lovely little pink DS Lite that is in fantastic condition, that I got from CEX, which, if you're not from the UK, that's basically second-hand gaming shop where they sell not just games, like films and tech and films, techs and games. This has Pokemon Emerald in it, which is a Pokemon Emerald that has all gold factory. Sorry, not factory. I always get Frontier and Factory mixed up, because when I was a kid, I would always play the Factory and like nothing else. Not even Frontier stuff, but like in the whole game, I would really get a thrill out of playing with rented Pokemon. This has all gold symbols, and a couple shinies. Doduo, which I traded over from Leaf Green, Oddish, Rhyhorn, Duskull, and a Spinder that my ex caught. I think that's it. I think that's all the shinies that are on here. But one of my favourite games of all time, without a doubt. Pokemon, you know, I can't even begin to explain what it means to me for so many different reasons. All the way throughout my life, it's recontextualized different things. Pokemon White, not so much. You know, it's a great game, don't get me wrong. And I played this one. I bought it when it came out, and I got Victini. There's a legit Victini on this. I caught my brother's friend came round with his DSi, and I was like, "Oh my god, you have to let me use that! I have a little card in my white box that says I can get a Victini." So he let me use his DSi XL. It was a burgundy one, if you want to know. And I got Victini with it. I did the Victini event. I caught it in a quick ball on the first try, because that's what the YouTube tutorial said at the time. The reason I choose this console instead of my blue Game Boy Advance SP, my tribal pattern one, the silver and black one, my original DS, my original DSi, which I sold, don't have that anymore, or anything, is because this is the one that I bought it just before I went to America, and I played an awful lot of Emerald while I was there. So this as a whole sort of captures a very good spirit with regards to that. Battery life on it's insane as well. This is The Music Industry is Poisonous, and you'll notice it's not even opened. That's because my CD player has broken. This Technics, you can turn it on, you can open it up, you can grab a disc. Fun fact, Oirectine is what I use for testing all different, that's like my testing thing. When I want to test headphones, speakers, amps, anything, it's Oirectine every time. But it just won't read the disc, which is a darn shame. I'll get that fixed sometime soon. Shout out to Hi-Fi Hanger, by the way, who provided me, well, I bought it, but all this stuff here, amp, speakers, tape deck, record player, turntable, come on, and CD player, that's all from Hi-Fi Hanger. Lovely, lovely place. Run by two really sweet people. Back to Lucy's Music Industry is Poisonous. Obviously, I haven't owned this for very long because, you know, the album came out like a couple of weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. But this very nicely supports my current emotional state. And in a year, when I look back on today, or I watch this video, or I think about any of the emotional turmoil that's befallen me recently, hopefully I'll be reminded of the good things first, and this will certainly go along with them. Really, 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 really good album. Right, so here we have a collection of signed shirts, or just shirts in general. This one I got when I went to see My Morning Jacket with my brother and my best friend in school at End of the Road 2014, I want to say. 2014 sounds about right. 2015. It would have been 2015, because that was the time that I discovered Soundtracks for the Blind. But this one is signed. Why is it all at the bottom? Well, it's because I was wearing the shirt at the time, and I was like, hey, can you sign it? And I had to sort of pull it and like lay it across the table that they were sitting at, and they had to write on it. And Jim James, well, My Morning Jacket has like always been one of my favourite bands ever, because At Dawn means more to me than like many, many other albums. so it's nice to have a signed My Morning Jacket shirt. The shirt itself doesn't look very nice, but you know, it's good for a fanboy to have. This is slightly different. When I went to Park Life in Manchester, which was 2017, great festival. It was a really fun time. Frank Ocean was the final act. He came on 50 minutes late. He played solo 4 times in a row to start with, because he kept saying that his microphone had latency issues, so he kept stopping the song midway through. And then the rest of the set was like super, super low key. He wasn't on the main stage. He was playing at the main stage, but he wasn't on the main stage. He was on this tiny platform in the middle of the audience, and I was like right next to it. And he had like a tape deck and these little speakers around, and these 2 guys with VHS sort of camcorders projecting some sort of filtered video onto the back where the screen was for the other bands, and it was an extremely comfy, one of the best live experiences I've ever seen. I barely ever listen to Frank Ocean. I wouldn't be able to name my favourite song of his, but this shirt was a bit of a story, because what you had to do was like queue up for like 2 hours to get the opportunity to get one of these sort of screen printed shirts, and my feet were killing me, and me and Joe were like hell-bent on getting one of these shirts. This one was 50 quid, I think, for like, because you could get separate things. You see that there's this sort of sphere thing, there's the text, and then you have the blonde cover. You can, if you got all 3 of those together, it was 50 quid. And so waited for ages, got my little ticket to say yes, I bought one, because they had to make them later. And then after the set finished, I got a text on my phone saying, hey, come with your ticket, your shirt's done. Then I took it after queuing for another hour or something like that. So it was not easy getting a shirt, but I'm very glad I didn't give up on it, because this is like the very vivid, sort of clear thing that reminds me of the festival. Remember waiting in line for the shirt. Tribe Called Quest was supposed to be playing at that time, but Q-Tip was ill or something. So they had there was like an announcement on the stage that said, instead of Tribe Called Quest, it's going to be DJ Benji B. And there was a sort of murmur that turned into a shout through the crowd that was like, who the fuck is Benji B? And he's a Radio 1 DJ that basically just played songs, not even a mix, just disparate tracks. I remember everything in its right place was there. That was hilarious. That Tribe Called Quest was swapped out for a Radio 1 playlist. But this shirt was I checked on Grailed a couple of years ago and it was like 300 quid. But I'm not selling it because it's a memory and you can't buy those. This is the final one of the signed shirts, I think. Or it's the ones that I got out in preparation for this video, because as loose as it is, I did want to do it. So this one says, I mean, this is Michael Guerra's signature. It's literally just a squiggle and then 17 because it was 2017. Public castration is a good idea shirt, and the story behind this is much better than what meets the eye, because I went to see Swans with a couple friends in some church in Bristol, and at the end of the show, Michael Guerra with his big hat was just sitting at the sort of the merch sort of table, right? And I bought Filth, Great Annihilator, and white light on vinyl. And I sort of walked up to him with a big smile on my face. So I was like, "Hey, can you sign these?" And he was like, "Yeah, sure, man," or something like that. And as he was signing them, he kept sort of looking up to me and like giving me a sort of smile as if to say like, "Oh, hey, thanks." And then he sort of said, "Oh, thank you so much for buying all these, man." And I was like, "Thank you so much for making them, especially this one," I said, because I got this shirt as well, obviously. And then we had a chat about the album and, you know, I was very interested in hearing like the mastering process as well and how it was recorded, and we sort of talked about that. And he definitely said, he sort of looked at me, because this was when I was 18 years old and I had a massive like baby face still. He sort of looked at me because he probably thought I was like 14 and was like, "It's a bit loud for you, isn't it?" And I was like, "That's why it's my favourite." And he sort of chuckled away and we kept chatting on. And then this lady came, who was an admin lady for the church, I guess, and said, "Okay, that's all we have time for. We're closing." So I was the only one who could get anything signed by Michael Gira at that time, because we wasted time talking about stuff and all the other people in the queue were royally pissed off at me. But he said, "God bless you." I shook his hand, walked off with signed merch, with a drunken smile on my face, and that was that. And I've never worn this shirt. I probably should, because I mean, it's a really good shirt. So those are the shirts. This is important. So this is a all-in-one Sony Vial PC that my family got in 2009. I want to say. I really want to think about this. So it would have been 2009. And this at the time was like £1,000. It was a lot of quid. Because this was state of the art. It's touch screen. It's Intel dual core, Windows 7, NVIDIA 440M or something, some terrible graphics card. But this was like a sort of family PC, but it happened to be in my room, so I was the one who used it all the time. And I played Worms in 1080p on it, which was nuts. And COD 4, which barely ran. CSGO, which barely ran. And all other sorts of stuff, and many, many memories from YouTube and all sorts started on this. So what is it doing here if it's over 10 years old? Well, if you install Ubuntu on it, it runs like a dream, and you'll notice this is my bed, so I can just prop myself up here and I can sit back and I have a bedside all-in-one 1080p display that fits exactly onto my shelf there, which is amazing. I had to take off. It like didn't run when I refurbished it. It was running Windows 7 and it would like take half an hour to start up. So I took the back off, cleaned all the dust out. I remember I shot the air blower. I shot it at a specific angle through the fan hole thing, and like a massive chunk of dust came out, and I breathed life back into it. It was amazing. And now it runs Ubuntu, and I watch Stuart Lee on it when I go to sleep. Man, I love it. I'm really glad that I managed to refurbish it. It still has the Windows 7 partition on it when I'm nostalgic for that. So, what else? So this is the skeleton, essentially, of what was my first gaming PC. And only gaming PC, really, because that one over there, not a gaming PC. This was, for all intents and purposes, this was the step up from this, because I was so sick of this computer. It wouldn't play CSGO properly. I was like playing CSGO on it, so I needed something new. And all my friends had proper gaming PCs, and it royally pissed me off. So I got this. I got this after saving up for 3 years pocket money, £2 a week, and going over to my grandparents to mow the lawn, wash the cars, and all that, to save up when I was from the ages of 12 to 15. I was already sick of this when I was 12 years old, because that's when I was playing COD 4 Pro Mod. Yeah, and I was like, I have to get something better, and no one's going to buy it for me, so I've got to save up myself. So this was, as well as that first monitor that I was talking about, and some peripherals. That was the result of saving up for 3 years between the ages of 12 to 15. It was a Novatech. It was a pre-built machine, so I probably could have got it for much cheaper if I built it myself, but I was not taking the chance at that age. I've had this all the way throughout uni, and the first time I cleaned it was like 5 years after I got it, and I remember I got my best friend round with his with his version of this, and I was like, hey, we should clean this computer out because it's chugging away but not very well. And so he was like, hey, bring it outside, we'll apply the air blower to it. I remember before he was like, hey Anton, get into Fortnite, and so I showed him that Fortnite barely ran on it on 1080p, and it should have been, you know, blazingly fast, but it wasn't. So we cleaned it out, and then we ran Fortnite, and ran like a dream, and I never opened it again. So yeah, I just went back to CS. No, I wasn't even gaming at that time, actually, because this would have been 2018. I was past gaming at that point, but it was still like slow and loud, and managed to fix it with that. So I got my own for when I needed it for later. But this is the inside of the. You can see it's completely gutted out, apart from this motherboard, which only has a network card, a heatsink, and some DDR3 RAM on it, which are all pretty useless. But yeah, lots and lots of memories made on this computer, because this came all the way through university with me, and anything that stuck with me for that long means a lot to me, because it's seen me through much of an emotional roller coaster. So I'm not going to talk about the lava lamp because I don't really know too much. I mean, it's just a lava lamp that my dad gave me, and it's awesome. And this witch's hat. Okay, so November 2nd, that was when the Computer Science Society decided to do a Halloween night, because there was a deadline on Halloween, which was dumb. It was so dumb. The year before that, this was 2018, the year before that, I dressed in a blow-up, cry laughing face emoji, and we went to see Big Shaq do Man's Not Hot at a club, because that was when that meme was big. That was fun. Yeah, got a lot of comments on my costume for that, but this was the one after that, where I dressed as a witch, and this was the witch's hat that I wore on November 2nd. Me, Joe and John were walking through the street to the party, and everyone was like, "Oi, mate, it was 2 days ago, you're 2 days late, you idiots." And we got a lot of pretty funny reactions whilst walking there, feeling very conspicuous. I think that's the word. It was a good party though, everyone there had a really good time. The alcohol level was good. So, here we have a lot of stuff, jeez. First of all, we have this GameCube, which was my dad's, but he gave to me, because every Sunday, when my brother and I and my mum would go to visit him, we'd end up playing on the GameCube for a little bit. Monkey Ball, Burnout 2, Soul Calibur 2, Super Mario Sunshine. Those were the games that we'd play. And I still have all the memory cards with all my Super Monkey Ball replays. 1 and 2, obviously. So I should look through those sometime, because I'm taking a break. I can't work at the moment, because... Anyway, this is the Game Boy that I was previously talking about, with an action replay in it, which I think my cousin gave to me by accident, because I definitely didn't buy it myself. These go for quite a lot, these action replay maxes. Didn't realise that. And this is the leaf green that I've had since 2005, I want to say, because I got this, and sorry if I'm getting distracted. I'm getting a lot of sort of audio hallucinations of my phone vibrating, even though I'm holding my phone to film this right now, which is kind of freaking me out. But I got this and leaf green and a link cable in probably would have been 2007 or 2006. 2006, because in 2007 I got Diamond for having pneumonia. My mum gave me Pokemon Diamond for being a good sport whilst having pneumonia. But yeah, that's that. And inside here is the blue one, probably with Pokemon Ruby in it, because that was the first game that I ever got on the Game Boy. My brother got a Yu-Gi-Oh game. I got Ruby in 2003, 2004 from a Canadian game store. And then on Christmas we opened it, and because one of my friends in school, he came in with to show and tell with a Game Boy. It was a Groudon Ruby, which are like really expensive, and I remember asking him if he still had it years later, and he said no, he gave it away. But he came in with a Groudon Ruby, and he was at Rustboro City playing Ruby, and I was like, this looks like the most amazing thing I've ever seen in my entire life. And so when I saw that Pokemon Ruby was being sold in this Canadian game store when I was like 4 years old, I was like, I need that one. And so yeah, that's the Ruby that's in here. This is the box that came with that leaf green. It's a player's choice, unfortunately, but this is the very same box that I would have got for my birthday with all the manuals in it. Yeah, it's just been preserved well. We have these two minifigures. This one I got for Christmas last year, 2020, and this I got for Christmas 2019. It's a very nice tradition that my brother is starting to get me Pokemon Nano blocks for Christmas, which is a lovely little gift because I love these guys. And here, if I move these ones slightly, we have my Pokemon cans, which I got from 168 Oriental on Park Street in Bristol over the span of 2 years. I don't know if you'll see in my early diary videos where I'm in my 3rd year uni room, which is the one where I start off in. You can see that I had like a sort of row of colourful cans on the back. Those were these, not all of them, because I think I got Mewtwo, Gengar, I can't remember which other ones I got, a Psyduck, and that Pikachu I think I got in year 4, but these ones I sort of started collecting. They were £2 each, and I just thought, hey, it's Pokemon, and they're great conversation starters, and they're cute, so I got them mainly so I could use them as an icebreaker, because my ex-girlfriend loves Pokemon, so I was like, hey, I should buy these, and that will be able to shoot into a deep conversation about Pokemon and stuff, and it did. So here they are still to this day. Bunch of CDs. None of these are particularly amazing, so to speak. I mean, I love some of them, but not in that personal way. Anything else here? There's a copy of Phil Elverum's Dust here, if I move these out of the way. That Yu-Gi-Oh thing's pretty cool, but this is just your typical sort of legendary collection that I got in like 2011 or something. This is my whole ass, sort of, well, not all of it actually, it's just some of my Yu-Gi-Oh cards. I even had a video about that a couple of years ago, but I privated it because it was embarrassing. This is something I got at a Phil Elverum concert, also in a church in London I went to see with my friend Joe, who I went to see basically all of the stuff with, because he was into the same music I was and he loved sort of going out to this stuff, so that was a really fortunate. It's great to have him as a friend, especially at that time. And this was the only thing that he signed. I don't know why I have. There's like two things here where it's like I'm specifically singled out, but this was right at the time A Crow Looked at Me came out, and people were walking up to him with the Crow Looked at Me vinyl and Mount Eerie vinyl and all that shit, and he was like, "No, I'm sorry, I don't want to sign any of those." Obviously, why? You can see that. And I went to him with this book. I didn't buy anything else, but I just thought, hey, this looks like a really cool book. Dust, filled with all these sort of pictures that you would expect Phil Elverum to use as sort of artwork for his microphones and Mount Eerie releases. And I said, hey, love your stuff so much. It's a huge influence, with all the sort of stuff you see. And then he was like, do you want me to sign it? And I was like, yeah, absolutely, I'd be very grateful. And so that's that. And I remember the next person came up, and I think he was waiting for him to say, do you want me to sign it? And he didn't. And then the guy said, can you sign it? And he was like, no, I'm not signing that one. So that's a funny story, another thing that goes alongside Public Castration. Phil Elverum Dust book. So I think I might be near the end here. I still have the bass. Yes, what else is there here? Records, you know about those. Yeah, so this bass I originally got in it was the same time I got the amp, which is 2010, something like that I want to say. 2010 sounds about right. And the only reason I got it was because I wanted to enter Battle of the Bands with my friends, and I wanted to play bass and sing. And I chose Parker's Band by Steely Dan. I nominated that as the song that we should play. And one of my friends, Freddie, was a saxophonist, and so when he heard the solo at the end, he was like, "Oh yeah, I want to do that." And everyone else just sort of went with it because he was one of the cool kids. We never got around to playing it, but here's the bass that I use in all my old songs. Super noodly bass, and the strings are like oxidized to hell if you can look at them properly. It's a Squier Fender bass, and you'll notice that the faceplate is detached. And the reason that is, I actually did that extremely recently because this connector came loose, so I had to. You can see here that this is sort of flimsy. It's a volume thing, doesn't really matter. So I have to sort of go in, sort of jiggle it about, make sure that the jack is actually going into the receiver, which is like a sort of, it's like a thing that presses in onto the jack when it's pushed in, to connect the metal here, sort of through the wire into the amp. But well, it still works, and I only needed it for the one thing, and I did that. So I was almost going to sell this bass. If I'd have done that, that would have been a huge mistake, because all my modern stuff, all the tracks that I make on my albums and EPs, 90% of the emotion I sort of get through with the bass, and the other 10% is just sort of sprinkling stuff on top and working around the bass line that I've made. All you need is like 2 notes from bass line. You've already got all the emotion you need in a track. That's how I feel anyway. I feel very strongly about trying to get my bass line correct and to the point, and I want to get, if you listen to my music, then you'll know that, like, you know, I try to get out all my feelings into the bass line, because I think that's all I need. That's all that needs to be. The rest is just complementary. So I'm glad I kept this to play bass and sort of curate that fondness in a good bass line, I guess. Can't believe I was going to sell this, yeah. Okay, I'm pretty sure that's it, honestly. Those are the things in my room that I really appreciate, and I can't wait to take with me when I move, to fill out the room and make it feel like home. And all the positive energy from all this stuff is, you know, going to come with me and keep me company and just be there for me when all the new stuff happens. So yeah, that's it really. 1 hour, jeez.